Celebrating 49 years on the air, award-winning Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, revisiting our series, The Hungriest State. In this episode, the fisherfolk can't seem to make a living. In Southern Gardening, the sensational salvia Rockin Purple and Unplugged Pink. And in an encore feature in Picayune, the Crosby Arboretum. Then, back on our series in Mississippi waters, almost a zero harvest. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Great to have you with us again here on Farm Week. This week, an encore, The Hungriest State, the story of those who make their living on the water. Fisherfolk. We meet Frank Parker and Maria Tran, for whom making ends meet on Mississippi's Gulf Coast is easier said than done.
My name's Frank Parker, and I'm a sixth-generation commercial fisherman from Biloxi, Mississippi. I absolutely knew I was going to be a fisherman forever. I mean, I can remember as a young child, that's all I ever wanted to do was fish, you know, whether it was crabs or fish or shrimp. I was going to be on that water. I've known that my whole life. I started commercial fishing by myself when I was 13 years old, running crab traps before and after school. So, I mean, I've been running these waters for 38 years now, you know. So, to me, it's kind of, you know, I know this water like the back of my hand.
be just 5 pounds. So this is 30 and 10, 30 and 10 is 40. Look at this one. My name is Maria Tran. I'm a mom of 8. 8. I have 8 kids. Yeah, it's 4 boys and 4 girls. And shrimping, shrimping was not my plan. And 30. Here you go. Thank you. Be 40.
Yes, ma'am.
Enjoy your crab, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You take care now.
Thank you. What was the plan?
My plan was to get a good education and be a doctor like every normal kid. Because when I came over in 1975, I was only 4 years old. Most of the people that built the shrimping business that came over from Vietnam had no means of, English, the language barrier, education. So the only thing that make a living out is the shrimping. And shrimping is, for them, they pick up really fast. Yeah, they love the hard work because you make money and they could support the family. There's 2 types of shrimper. One that goes out for a month, that stay out a month. And those are the people that they can make the money. Because they stay out there for a whole month, they collect, they hit and collect and accumulate the shrimp, and they come in and they sell to the factory. With us, it's local, we like to sell all fresh. And we only could go about like at nighttime, where we leave the dock at 5 and comes in at 7:30. So this, you don't have enough time. So we catch as much as we can and supply our customer, the local, with fresh shrimp. And with all this rain, it's making it very hard.
Making it very hard indeed. We'll have more in just a few minutes.
On the lighter side, if you're looking for something in your landscape to attract pollinators, you might try Rockin Purple. Here's Eddie Smith with an explanation.
There are many great salvias on the market that pollinators love. Let's take a look at a couple of varieties. Rockin Purple is a stunning plant prized for its bold, vibrant blooms and pollinator-friendly nature. It produces deep purple, tubular flowers that grow in dense, upright spikes, reaching up to 2 to 3 feet tall. The flowers are velvety in texture and emerge from nearly black calyxes, creating a striking contrast that enhances their rich color. The blooms are arranged in a whorl pattern along the spikes, adding a dynamic architectural element to gardens. Unplugged Pink salvia features soft pink tubular flowers that grow on sturdy, upright spikes, standing out beautifully against its deep green foliage. The flowers emerge from dark calyxes, creating a striking contrast that enhances their delicate pink hue. Blooming from late spring through fall, these salvias attract hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees, making them a pollinator-friendly choice. The foliage consists of lance-shaped, slightly serrated leaves with a pleasant fragrance when touched. As heat and drought-tolerant plants, both of these plants thrive in full sun and well-drained soil. Blooming continuously from spring through fall, these nectar-rich flowers are magnets for hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees. I'm Eddie Smith, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up, our final segment of the Fisherfolk, part of our series, The Hungriest State. We talked to Frank Parker and Maria Tran and others about what the future is already looking like for Mississippi's fishermen. It's not necessarily a pretty picture. The graying of the fleet and the possible collapse of the Mississippi fishing industry. The Hungriest State, the conclusion coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believed that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. I believe that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance towards the views of others. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in my own work and in the opportunity I have to make my life useful to humanity. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families that I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
And now we travel once again to the Crosby Arboretum in Picayune, a natural beauty in Pearl River County. It's also about the strong support from a volunteer and donor. Take a look.
The Arboretum is natural beauty. It's an art form in its own way. Basically, once you come here and you start experiencing some of the, whether it's the workshops or just the trails and enjoying nature, it just seeps in and sticks with you. I'm Ruth Cook. I am born and bred in Mississippi. Went to Mississippi State University and actually studied forestry. There are many a time that I drive down Interstate 59 on the way to New Orleans. You see the sign and you think, I need to stop there one day. And about 2000, I stopped and I never left. This arboretum is showcasing different natural ecosystems that you would see, and if you really search them out across the landscape of South Mississippi.
The Crosby Arboretum is a living memorial to forward-thinking timber pioneer L.O. Crosby Jr. by his family, and this was one of his favorite sites. This 64-acre parcel, 20 of that is in savanna grasslands, and about 40 acres is in woods. So it's the woodland exhibit, the savanna exhibit, and the aquatic exhibit that we're standing on this bridge for the slough and going into the Piney Woods Pond is about another 4 acres or so.
The Arboretum's mission meshes extremely well with MSU Extension. Extension and what goes on here is real. I think people go, oh, well, I can Google that, or I can go and look at a YouTube video. It's real. They can come down here and they can get the ear of Pat, or they can get the ear of Eddie. You know, it's real. It's not just watching a video.
In forest areas,
Volunteers and donors are critical to the Arboretum. I have pictures of Ruth with a set of loppers coming down here and cleaning up after hurricane, and so she'll do everything from the basic pruning and helping out that way, helping with events. From the little to the large is how she helps with our exhibits.
Miss Ruth has been a big supporter of the Crosby Arboretum since I've known her, which is about 10 years now. And she's volunteered her personal time, and she's also volunteered as serving as president of the Crosby Board, Crosby Foundation. And she's been really good at helping find funding for a lot of different programs that are carried on here at the Arboretum.
When you work here and you've worked with other volunteers and you've worked with some of the founders that had this dream and had this idea to create this spot, it creates memories. I mean, I don't just see this gum pond or this beaver pond, or I see the people that were behind some of the ideas, the people that were behind the funding, the people that were on the end of a shovel helping, create projects.
The Arboretum would not be in the place that it is today without having donors like Ruth and without having Ruth. If I see Ruth at the gum pond, I know that she is in the very center of where she feels the heart of the Arboretum is. That is her special place. And the bridge, to be able to see the bridge come to a reality, I know gave her great personal satisfaction, and she is a vital part of it, and her heart is here.
I do see a sense of pride in what we have accomplished here. The exhibits that we've gotten to add to the Arboretum, I think, has gotten us attention, has gotten us more volunteers, more attendees. We are creating and impacting people in the future. It is a legacy, and I think it's an honor to the ones that have come before me. I love this place. I love what it stands for, and I love the mission that it's out there making happen.
Now back to the hungriest state. More about why Mississippi's fisherfolk are facing such hard times. We pick up with how the long slide downward started.
Here in Mississippi, we've had a plethora of man-made and natural disasters. Just looking back in recent history, it really started with Hurricane Katrina. That knocked out about half of the commercial shrimp fleet. Then we had the BP oil spill in 2010, and that really has decimated our wild oyster reefs, which is one of the biggest fisheries on the Mississippi coast. We've had next to zero harvest for about the past 10 years since the BP spill. But then we've been plagued with these Bonnie Carey spillway disasters, which we had one in 2016, we had another one in 2018, again in 2019, and in 2020, with 2019 being a record opening, record number of days it was open. And so we just, these guys are tough, these families are tough, but there's only so much you can take. And, they've been dealt a very tough hand.
That's what's sickening right there. Look, dead stingrays, dead catfish. Our season this year in our inshore waters between Louisiana and Alabama, it's probably been the worst year I've ever seen in 30 years. And the main thing is just with the amount of fresh water we've had excessive rainfall, all throughout this area. So, but it's been really, really bad.
Too much water will create the imbalance of the pH, meaning it's going to kill the fish, shrimp, you know, or to dry them further out somewhere, and we're not able to make a living out of it. And I think it was like 2 years ago, when they opened the spillway, there was a lot of algae. See, that's caused algae because the pH in the water is not consistent.
We had a lot of they kept calling it fresh water. Well, when that was water out of the Mississippi River that comes from from Minnesota all the way down the Mississippi River, and that is polluted fresh water. It's not fresh water, it's polluted fresh water. And because we had all that polluted fresh water with all these chemicals in it, it caused some major blue-green algae blooms, other algae blooms, and it put a tarnish on our seafood, you know.
Hello. I only got the large, the jumbo kind. Only the jumbo today.
Those are a little bit too big.
Yes, we are sold out on the small medium this morning, but this is the only thing we have left for the day.
You don't have anything though.
On the shrimp, no, not right now.
You think you will later on today?
No, not quite. Hopefully tomorrow.
What we've seen here over the last several years is due to all the plethora of disasters that we've had. The productivity of the fishing vessels have fallen off. The consistency of the availability of the product has fallen off. And because of that, you don't see people looking for product to buy fresh shrimp right off the vessels as much as you would, say, 5 to 10 years ago.
Do you ever feel pressure? Like, are you ever worried about, when you wake up in the morning, are you like, man, I hope we sell enough today?
Yes, I do. You know, yes, I do. Yeah, how are we going to pay the bill, you know? Yeah, I give up everything to, like I said, I give everything up to concentrate on this job. And now, too much rain, it's just very depressing when you go out there at night and you're catching less than 100 pounds. You can go all night and not make it up. You don't even catch enough to make up for the fuel and ice.
It's feast or famine a lot of times, and you have to have really good money management skills, because sometimes you make really good money. You know, when you have that money in your hand, it's like, oh, we're going to buy this, buy that. Well, there's weeks where you're not going to make a whole lot of money, you know. This year in particular, I haven't worked hardly at all on my shrimp boat just because it hasn't been economically feasible. You know, when it cost you, with the price of fuels went up this year substantially since last year, but the price of shrimp is up, but it's still not enough shrimp to catch to make it a bigger profit margin. That's why I've been crabbing. The overhead's a lot lower, so the profit margin's bigger.
When we look at global market factors that have impacted the seafood industry here on the coast, the importation of shrimp, mostly farm-raised shrimp, coming from overseas, from other countries, has really put a lot of pressure on the shrimp industry in particular. We normally would see shrimp prices much higher than they are now 30 years ago.
For the past 30 years, fishing, especially shrimping, here in the U.S., here in the Gulf, is very difficult. We have to spend so much money to fill up the diesel tank to go out the fishing for 4 days, 6 days. And then, when they come back with their catch, the price is so low. Sometimes the sale that they get out of the catch, that they get out of the sale, has not been enough to pay for the diesel. Now, why is it that the prices are going down? We know that for a fact. More than 90% of what we eat here in the U.S. is imported. And foreign countries, they have lax regulations. They can do whatever they want as long as they satisfy paperwork and produce those products at very low cost. So bring them in here.
A lot of these imports that come into the country, they're subsidized by their host countries where they're being produced. So that allows them to put them on the market much cheaper and undercut our fishermen here in America. And you know, when a state where everything is, prices are inflating across the board, the cost of materials and supplies are rising, with your product being stable or even decreasing, it makes for very tough market conditions.
You know, it's just hard to compete with rising operating costs on a global market. You know, there's still countries over there where people can make $1 a day and they're doing good. And it's just hard for us to compete on that level here in the United States.
Hard to compete, hard to watch, a tough ship to turn around. Well, next week, our concluding encore segments of the Fisherfolk, all part of our series, The Hungriest State.
We talked to Frank Parker and Maria Tran and others about what the future has been looking like for Mississippi's fishermen. It's not necessarily a pretty picture, though things could change for the better.
The graying of the fleet and what looks like the collapse of the Mississippi fishing industry, part of our series, The Hungriest State. That's next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.